I didn't speak to my daughter for 3 days after that fight. Not out of revenge, I simply couldn't. The words she'd thrown at me replayed in my mind like a storm on loop. Ungrateful. Judgmental. Old-fashioned. She even accused me of ruining her happiness, as if I were the one who'd opened the door to this mess. My husband noticed something was wrong. He kept asking, gently at first, then with concern in his eyes. Did you two argue? Is it about the apartment? The job? I told him it was just stress. That she was figuring things out. And that much was true, she was figuring out how to live a lie. I kept wondering, what did I miss? Where did I go wrong? She's smart. Educated. Independent. We raised her to value herself. But here she is, playing second to a man who sneaks out of bed at dawn to go back to his wife. The silence between us grew heavier with each day. I avoided her calls. She avoided my questions. And somewhere deep down, I feared I was losing her. Not just to him, but to the version of herself I no longer recognized. A week later, I got curious. I looked him up. It wasn't hard. I had his name, his workplace, even his wife's Instagram. She posted photos of their kids. Family dinners. Smiling vacations. The perfect image, a mask, now crumbling. I wasn't jealous. I was angry. Angry that he could sit at his own dinner table and pretend everything was fine, while dragging my daughter into a private hell she calls love. I wanted to call his wife. I had the number typed out more than once. But something stopped me. Not fear. Not guilt. Doubt. Would it even change anything? Would my daughter forgive me? Would his wife thank me, or would she just suffer while he finds another young girl to whisper lies to? I wasn't sure anymore if exposure was justice, or just more destruction. I still hadn't told my husband. He asked about her again. Is she seeing someone? She's glowing lately. You know anything? Glowing. Yes, she was glowing with borrowed light. Eventually, I met her for lunch. I didn't plan to. She messaged me out of the blue. Can we talk? Just talk. No yelling. She looked tired. Beautiful, but tired. The kind of exhaustion that comes from living in the shadows. I'm sorry, she said first. For what I said. I was angry and I didn't want to admit how complicated this is. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. I love him, she said simply. And I know how that sounds. I know what you're thinking. But he listens to me. He believes in me. I feel seen when I'm with him. I took a deep breath. And what do you feel when he leaves you every night to go home to his wife? She flinched. Looked down. Like I'm waiting, she whispered. And there it was. Waiting. The curse of the other woman. Forever waiting. You deserve someone who stays, I said, my voice shaking. She cried. Quietly. Not asking me to understand, just to be there. For a moment, I saw my little girl again. That evening, I told my husband the truth. It felt like dropping a bomb. He didn't speak for a long time. He just stared at the wall. When he finally did, his voice was low, controlled. Are you sure? I nodded. He got up. Poured a drink. Sat back down. We failed somewhere, he said. No, I replied. She's still young. She's just lost. Do you think she'll stop? I looked away. I don't know. He didn't shout. He didn't curse. But something in his eyes broke that night. The pedestal he'd kept her on, it cracked. And maybe that's what hurt the most. It's been 2 months now. They're still seeing each other. She no longer brings him up around us, and we don't ask. It's a strange, quiet truce. I watch her come and go, still hoping she'll wake up one day and see him for what he is, a man stealing her time, her future, and her peace. I haven't told his wife. Not yet. But I've written the letter. It's in my drawer. Maybe one day I'll send it. Maybe I won't. Not because I'm afraid, but because I still hope my daughter walks away on her own. I don't have a neat ending for this story. Only this. Love is not always pure. People make terrible choices. And sometimes, being a mother means standing nearby, not to catch them, but to be there when they fall. Because they will. It happened on a Tuesday. She came to our apartment unannounced, her eyes red, mascara smudged, the confident posture she usually carried gone. She collapsed onto the couch, clutching her phone like it was all she had left. "I saw them," she whispered. "At a restaurant. Him and his wife." I sat beside her, silent. I wasn't supposed to be there. I was with a friend. We walked in, and there they were holding hands, laughing like nothing was wrong. She looked at me, devastated. He told me he was getting a divorce. That he was just waiting for the right time. He said they hadn't touched each other in months. I didn't say I told you so. I didn't need to. And the worst part? Her voice broke. He saw me. We locked eyes. And he looked away. Like I was no one. That's when I finally held her. My daughter. Broken, humiliated, betrayed. Not by me. Not by the world. But by the man she gave everything to. I felt pain, yes, but also relief. Because maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of the end. Part 7. The letter. That night, I sat alone in the kitchen and opened the drawer. The letter I had written to his wife months ago was still there. Sealed. Unsent. My daughter's pain was still raw. Exposing him now felt like pouring salt on a wound she was finally starting to clean. I didn't send it. But I didn't throw it away either. The next morning, my husband came in while I was staring at the letter. "You're thinking about sending it?" he asked. "I don't know," I said. "Do you think she deserves to know?" He thought for a moment. "If it were you," he said quietly, "I would want to know." A week later, she received a message. From his wife. He hadn't told her. But someone else had. It wasn't me. I swear it. Maybe a friend of a friend. Maybe the restaurant wasn't as discreet as he thought. But the fallout came fast. He stopped calling. Blocked her on everything. Just like that, vanished. She didn't cry this time. She sat with us at the dinner table that evening, looking older somehow. Quieter. "I guess I was his fantasy," she said. And when it got too real, he ran back to the life he never planned to leave. No one spoke for a while. Then my husband said gently, "You are not a mistake. But you did make one. And now it's time to move on." She nodded. And for the first time since this began, I saw shame in her eyes, but also something else. Resolve. It's been 3 months since it ended. She's started therapy. She's working late, but not because she's waiting for a call. She's working for herself now. We don't talk much about him. The name rarely comes up. But sometimes, in passing, she'll say things like, "I used to think attention meant love." Or, "I don't want to feel like someone's secret again." She's changed. Not broken. Not bitter. Just wiser. Sometimes pain doesn't leave scars, it leaves lessons. And though it's not the future we dreamed of for her, it's still her future. Autumn came early that year. The air smelled different, crisp, clean, like something had finally cleared. My daughter was still reserved, but I noticed small changes. She smiled more when talking about work. She went out on weekends, not for dates, but for hikes, book clubs, yoga. She was finding herself, not in a man, not in his attention, but in the things that made her feel whole. One Sunday afternoon, she invited me for coffee. Just the two of us. No tension. She said something I didn't expect. "Thank you for not turning your back on me." I didn't need to respond. I just reached for her hand. She squeezed mine back. Like a silent apology for every insult, every tear. We talked about everything, her work, travel plans, even maybe applying for a second degree. But no talk of love. Not yet. It was too soon. And that was okay. It started slowly. She mentioned him once, a man from her office. His name was David. Divorced. No kids. Stable job. No drama. "He's kind," she said. "Doesn't try to impress. He just listens." I raised an eyebrow. "Is he interested?" She shrugged. "He asked me to lunch." I said yes. But I told him I'm not in a rush. I smiled. "Good." She smiled back. That was all. Over the next few weeks, she mentioned him more often. He walked her to her car. He brought her coffee when she worked late. He never flirted loudly or made empty promises. He just showed up. Consistently. Like a man who didn't have to hide. She invited us to dinner to meet him. At first, I was nervous. Not because I expected another disaster, but because I could see how much she wanted this to be right. He was polite. Confident, but not arrogant. Spoke to my husband about music and history. Asked about our daughter's childhood with genuine interest. At one point, I noticed him glance at her, not with possession, but admiration. Later that night, after they left, my husband looked at me and said, "I like him." That was it. 3 words. But I knew what he meant. This one doesn't come with shadows. Weeks passed. The leaves turned gold. One day, she came to me and said, "I don't know where it's going, but I feel respected." For the first time in a long time. She wasn't obsessed. She wasn't chasing. She was choosing. And for me, as her mother, that was everything. I don't know if David will be the one. Maybe yes. Maybe not. But I know this. She will never again accept being someone's secret. She has become someone I deeply admire, not for avoiding mistakes, but for walking through them and still choosing light. It happened in the most ordinary place, a bookstore. She had gone there after work, looking for a gift. She was browsing a poetry shelf when she heard someone say her name. Softly, hesitantly. She turned. It was him. Older, somehow. Tired in the eyes. Still well-dressed, still polite. But there was something different about him. As if he'd stopped pretending, even to himself. "Hi," he said. "You look good." She nodded. "I do." There was silence. He looked at the book in her hands. "Still reading poetry?" I never stopped. Another pause. Then he added, "I heard you're doing well." "I'm glad." She waited. And then he said it, the line that once would have made her heart race. "I still think about you." But this time, it didn't spark anything. Not hope. Not anger. Just clarity. "I don't," she replied gently. He blinked. "Not even a little?" She shook her head. "You were a lesson. Not a memory I revisit." There was no cruelty in her voice. No bitterness. Just truth. He looked down. "I never meant to hurt you." "But you did," she said. "And I let you. That was on me. But I'm not that girl anymore." She smiled, not out of kindness to him, but out of pride in herself. "I hope your wife's okay," she added. "Take care." And she walked away. Free. That evening, she told me what happened. I didn't interrupt. I just listened, proud beyond words. At the end, she said something I'll never forget. "I finally understand, Mom. Love isn't supposed to feel like waiting." A few months later, David proposed. Not with a big speech or a ring and champagne, just a quiet moment on a walk, asking if she wanted to build a life together. She said yes. And this time, she wasn't someone's secret. She was someone's choice.